Welcome back. Illegal land invasions are a serious challenge for municipalities. Now, the Gauteng government has instructed the state attorney to get eviction orders to remove people who invaded unoccupied land. Let's discuss this with Gauteng Human Settlements MEC Lebogang Maile. MEC, good afternoon. Thanks for your time. So, why have you decided to go ahead with the evictions? Speak to us about the instructions and the conversations you've had with the attorney.
Well, afternoon, and thanks for having us. It's obvious. If it's illegal, there has to be enforcement of the law. We must act. So that's the reason. But we must state that, as you know, we are busy now. There's regulations that during this state of disaster we can't evict people. So it's very important to explain that and emphasize that this will only happen after the state of disaster. But we also said that we already have eviction orders that could not be executed now because of where we are. But post this process, we will definitely enforce those because we have already been given, the court has already given us permission to proceed.
Yeah. So what happens in the interim? Are you not worried about people taking advantage of the regulations protecting them now that they can't be evicted during the national state disaster? What happens in the interim between now and your office now implementing those court orders?
No, remember, they are in the different houses or land parcels. What we are worried about is people who want to occupy now and who are trying to do that. That's what we are worried about. And that's why we are working on preventing them. We've got patrollers, about 1,500, working with the Department of Community Safety, which is helping us. We're working with the police. So what we need to worry about and prevent is people taking advantage and occupying now. Those who are in the houses, however, it's fine, they are there, and because we are under the state of disaster, we can't act on them. So our worry is those who are trying to occupy new illegal occupations.
Yeah. I want to talk about something you mentioned yesterday when you were briefing the media, admitting the failures in providing housing for the poor and dealing with the escalating housing backlog. I suppose this shows, people invading land. It shows how desperate people are for housing. Because when you evict them, and they invade this land, they will argue we're desperate. There is no housing. There is no plan for us. What are you doing as a department to ensure that there is actually a plan? Because I think my understanding is you're sitting with a housing backlog of roughly 1 million. What are you doing with that to ensure your provision of housing to those that are poor is effective?
Yeah, maybe characterizing it as a failure, it's not appropriate because it's like nothing was done at all. So if you characterize it as a weakness, as we said ourselves, that certain targets, for instance, in the last few years were not met, and it doesn't mean nothing has happened. In fact, as a matter of fact, since 1994 in Gauteng alone, we've built about 1.2 million houses. And as you correctly say, the backlog is sitting at about 1 million. So it's not like nothing has happened. So I think that it's very important that it must be properly explained so that tomorrow I'm not accused of shifting goalpost and trying to change the narrative. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you will know there's several interventions that we've put in place. We've got mega projects, we've got social housing, we've got the rapid land release program. We spoke about all those to say there's a lot of people who have said to us they can afford to pay, to rather build for themselves and we should make land available. And as you know, the challenge of in-migration, it's a big one for Gauteng, because everybody comes to Gauteng looking for greener pastures, and when they come here, we can't turn them away. We have to see how we work with them. As a result, we've got not less than plus minus 300,000 people coming here in the province. And that's why if you look at the 1994 record until now, more than 1.2 million houses built, and then you look at backlog now, it's like we have not done anything. And that's not the case. The case is you have had more people coming into the province. So we are looking at various interventions. And one of the biggest ones is this rapid land release program, which we have already started rolling out. And we said in this first phase that should end by the end of the year, at least 10,000 people will be having their own land which is serviced, and they can be able to build for themselves. And we look at increasing the number in the subsequent months and years.
What about the issue of corruption, MEC? You did indicate yesterday that that's another impediment to the thorough distribution and facilitation of housing, because there are some homes that are sold, they're given to people sometimes that do not even appear high up on the list. What are you doing about that?
We're doing everything we can, and we're acting ruthlessly and decisively. And that's why already we've fired people. So we're not just saying we will do this or we will do that. We are saying what is it that we have done. We have already fired people, 1. 2, we have already opened criminal cases, and the cases are at different stages. The police are investigating. But we also want to ask our communities to work with us and provide the necessary information to the law enforcement agencies and ourselves, so that we are able to apprehend these culprits. Yeah. In most cases, these are syndicates who are organized, who prey on the vulnerability and desperation of our people. They sell them land. As I speak to you now, there's a place in Beverly Hills around Lebogang where someone has been selling stands for 22,000, and those stands don't belong to that person. And as a result, there's illegal connection to services which affect people with bonded houses and all that. So this thing of illegality has to be dealt with in a decisive manner, and we have to be ruthless, especially with the criminals.
All right, Lebogang Maile, the MEC of Human Settlements, thank you so much for your time.